upset with that, so they held him back, his debut back, and then they put the Miz in there, and the Miz ended up ending John Morrison's career. And then they were really mad at Rob Brodus Clay, so they decided to make him the Funkasaurus as a punishment. You know?
Oh,
I
wow.
mean, with WWE, they let go of so much good talent that they shouldn't have let go. In my eyes,
And they brought back the guys who don't have the talent.
yeah, I mean, they should have never let go of Shelton Benjamin. Shelton Benjamin kind of made Money in the Bank. He never won it, but he did impressionable things that no one could ever deny.
They wrecked Drew McIntyre. They should have kept Drew McIntyre.
They should have
Drew
kept
McIntyre.
him as the chosen one.
I mean, that's a mystery to me because Drew McIntyre, he's a very talented guy. I actually went to a episode of Raw, and they filmed it a couple of years ago in the Fleet Center in Boston, and they filmed the episode of Superstars, and the Superstars main event was Alex Riley and Drew McIntyre. One of the best matches I've ever seen. It was an amazing match. And if you think about it too, on top of the talent that Drew McIntyre has, he looks like the type of guy WWE would push. He has that look. You know, he's a guy that WWE would push on looks alone. They tried, but for whatever reason, they...
Then they stuck him with Heath Slater and Jinder Mahal.
Yes.
Which kind of brought his career way down.
Yes.
Well, look at Heath Slater. I mean, they were going to boost him up. I mean, they had him beat Seth Rollins. Now they team him up with Titus O'Neil.
Another guy whose career is starting to tank.
Mm-hmm.
That's a shame because O'Neil has a look and a personality about him.
He really does.
That is very marketable if people would only know how to market him the right way, you know?
Well, that was like Ezekiel Jackson and Brian Kendrick. I think they made the ultimate team together. You know,
I agree. I did like that duo.
it was
very
kind of,
much.
I mean, it kind of brought back a little bit, you know, maybe not by much, the old Michaels and Diesel when they first started.
It's a very good comparison. Very good
It's a good
comparison.
The only thing is, though, when I saw Ezekiel Jackson, all I saw was a massive muscle walking to the ring. Didn't look like,
Yeah,
didn't
but
really
think
look
about-
human. He was just,
He was good.
Think about what they thought about Diesel, though. No one thought much about Diesel. Oh, he's just a
Yeah.
big bodyguard.
he's 7 feet tall, though. Who's going to deny him? That's why Khali still has a job.
Yeah.
Because 7-foot guys are not a dime a dozen.
No.
Have you guys been watching NXT on the network?
I
Remember
should because I'm more about the new guys, and I'm gonna start. I just don't know when I'm gonna start, but I'm gonna start at some point.
Remember, that's $9.99 a month.
$9.99.
NXT is in my opinion, is my favorite television wrestling show to watch, by far. I mean, it shows all the future guys. And what's cool about it is a lot of people give Triple H slack because of what he's produced on WWE TV so far, but you have to remember,
He created NXT.
he created NXT, but also as far as WWE TV goes, like Raw, SmackDown, pay-per-views, he's number 3 in charge. He still has to answer to his wife, Stephanie, who is the head of creative, and she has to answer to her father, Vince, who still,
Chairman of the board.
chairman of the board, calls all the shots. So Triple H is the number 3 guy in charge in WWE. In NXT, he is the guy. He runs the whole thing. He created it. It's his show. And it's an amazing show because Triple H is a wrestler. He knows what he grew up a massive wrestling fan. He knows what fans want to see. He knows how to find and scout talent. And if NXT is any indication of what WWE could look like with Triple H completely in charge, I can't wait until that day comes. Because
Wow.
NXT is amazing. And Triple H truly knows not only how to find the right talent, but he also knows how to cultivate them. He knows how to make them better. Because the WWE style is different. It's more showy. It's more entertainment based. You have a lot of talented wrestlers in the independent scene that are very good wrestlers. They can put on a great wrestling match, but they may not be that good at showmanship. They may not be good at entertaining. And Triple H is very good at blending those two styles. And he can teach people how to blend those two styles.
He may not be good at storylines though.
I think when it's him in charge, like when it's him,
He jammed Cena down our throat like.
well, that's Vince.
That's
That's Vince.
That's Vince.
Because that's Vince.
Oh, and I was blaming Hunter.
No, you can't blame Hunter for John Cena.
So
You
I
cannot.
guess when Hunter says what's best for business, it's more than just a catchphrase. It really is what he feels is best for business.
Well, Cena is still like their number 1 merchandise guy by a lot.
Which is very
He
surprising.
still sells, he's their only big draw right now, because kids love him.
Yep.
And little kids love him, women love him, so therefore, and those t-shirts go off the rack ridiculously, so therefore, he's the guy, you know, and there's nobody close right now that sells. I mean, Punk was very close. Punk actually eclipsed Cena a couple of months in merchandise sales.
Wow.
But Cena is the guy right now, and they're not going to put anybody else in that number one spot until they can find someone who can either match what John Cena brings or can exceed that.
But
Yeah.
Cena is a bully. And he
Cena's a
stands
bully?
like it for you.
Cena is a bully, yes. On Monday.
He
On
promotes
Monday.
bullying.
Okay, let's point this out on Monday on Raw. He held Paul Heyman against his will. He bullied him.
Imprisoned him.
He falsely imprisoned him, and he had Great Khali watch the door. And then once Brock Lesnar didn't show up, he was about to beat up Paul Heyman and shoved him. Now, if you're the San Diego Chargers and you lose to the Patriots, you don't beat up Bill Belichick. If you get your butt kicked by Brock Lesnar, you don't beat up the manager. You beat up Brock Lesnar. Be a star, folks. Be a star.
Well,
Although I know
Be
quite
a
a few
champ,
wrestlers.
not a
that-
Wait,
champ.
wait a
that
minute
don't
though,
play.
wait a minute though, but it was alright when Punk beat him with a kendo stick on top of a cage.
Well, Paul Heyman had it coming because Paul Heyman cost CM Punk the Money in the Bank that year. He pushed him
That's
off the
true.
ladder. So
He actually touched him.
Punk had that coming.
That's
Well, Heyman had that coming. Excuse me.
What
the
do you think
man,
about,
but I won't give him a
Kenta?
lot of credit. Heyman did say he was afraid of heights, and he still climbed to the top of that cage.
Yes. Kenta,
Mhm.
you got to give him a lot of credit because
Kenta, oh yes.
you got to give him a lot of credit. You got to think about this. He is one of the biggest stars in Japanese wrestling. He could be still wrestling in Japan right now, making a ton of money, and he's basically in WWE and NXT starting from the bottom. And he's probably getting a bigger contract than most developmental talents, but still, he could be making 10 times more money in Japan, but he wants it. His dream was always to wrestle for WWE, so he took a huge pay cut
Mhm.
in, going to WWE because he wants to be a star. Because if he can get over at WWE,
That's
he'll make more money in WWE than ever did in Japan. He made a lot of money in Japan.
Well, they made him change his name.
Yeah,
is it like Hideki or
Hideo Watami.
Hideo? That's what it was.
Hideo Watami.
Well, I got a way you can still make good money by starting at the bottom.
The taxing.
Get rid of Hunico or Sin Cara or whatever name he's wrestling by now. Sinbacha. Get rid of him.
Well, he's now one of the NXT Tag Team champions.
Why, Hunter? Why do you keep this guy on?
They want you to manage him.
Hey, Mike, I'll be glad to give him my number if that's the case.
Well, it was the original Sin Cara that always did the botch spots. This guy, Hunico now, he doesn't botch as much, so I'm happy.
Well, that's good. I mean, I know wrestlers all botch at one point.
I mean, I'm
or
also
another,
looking
but
forward to
Sin Cara was
Kevin
king of that.
Steen. I've watched
Kevin
him.
Steen,
That's
Prince Devitt.
Yep.
In my opinion, and this can be debated all
They say
day.
the new click. I seen a little
Oh,
caption.
yeah.
The new click.
I mean, in my opinion, for my money, move for move, hold for hold, not counting anything else. Not overall talent, not personality. Just in my opinion, for move, Prince Devitt's the best wrestler in the world. In my opinion, he is super talented. And if you watch the matches in Japan, like the problem with bringing guys from Japan is Japan's style is so ring focused that you lack that showmanship, and that's why a lot of those wrestlers don't get over here. Prince Devitt, if you watch his matches, has a lot of showmanship, so he'll get over at WWE just fine.
I want to see Shockwave again.
They
He was
they
awesome.
probably make Kenta change his special move. Which
Oh
was
yeah,
the GTS.
oh yeah.
Most likely.
He actually said on the DVD, CM Punk even said he got the move from Kenta.
Yep.
Thing is though, it's
You
funny
know they're
'cause-
gonna make Kenta change it though.
Oh yeah, because they don't want the WWE right now does not want anybody thinking of CM Punk.
Nope.
Don't blame them.
Oh, I don't blame him either. But on top of that, I don't know if this Hideo Watami name is gonna work because that's Kenta's new name, Hideo Watami. But he actually, after he cleared the ring, they were still chanting Kenta. So WWE might get put in a situation where they're forced to call him Kenta.
They would have to probably if he wrestled in New Japan, right?
Pro wrestling. He did wrestle in Japan, but he was a main eventer in Pro Wrestling Noah. That's where he found his niche. That's where he was the multiple-time world heavyweight champion
Well,
and
if-
everything.
If they own the name, WWE would have to spend some money to get the name.
It's true.
to-
It's true.
I mean, unless him like CM Punk and maybe a few others that actually own their own names, you know, but.
And I'm excited to see what he does because you could tell the company is actually excited to have him on board.
Oh, Triple H is ecstatic.
So, I mean, it tells you. But if you think about it, when they first brought Daniel Bryan to WWE, they didn't expect much. They figured, okay, he's a good wrestler, he'll make a lot of money, but they didn't expect him to get over. And they ended up in a situation where they brought Batista back, they figured, oh, people will love Batista. Didn't happen, and they ended up putting the belt on Daniel Bryan. And they were kind of forced to do that. Now you got Kenta, who's actually smaller than Daniel Bryan.
Mm-hmm.
And the WWE is actually excited to have this guy. So I find it weird that, okay, they're excited to have Kenta, but they weren't excited to have Daniel Bryan at first.
I think it's because they're finally realizing that the smaller guys can be just as tough as the bigger guys.
But you know what Triple H said, the tag team, the Wolves or whatever it is in TNA, they were originally going to come, they had a tryout and Triple H said they were too small.
Oh, Eddie Edwards and his tag team partner?
Yeah.
They made some mistakes too in their match because I watched their NXT tryout match with the Ascension, and one thing you're always taught in wrestling school, and you can probably attest to this, is that if you go for a move and you botch it or you mess it up, don't go for the same move again. You have to go for a different move because if you mess up a suplex and then you go for another suplex right away, that basically tells the audience, hey, wrestling's fake. Or if you botch a suplex but then go for something that was quick like a slam or like
Because
a
it covers
German,
up.
it covers up the botch. 2 times in that match, Davey Richards, he botched a move, and then instead of going for something else, he went for the same move again and did it. So right away I thought, wow, like.
That wasn't number 1 rule, but it sits right up there. It's
It's
one of the
one
top
of those
rules.
top
If you
rules.
botch a move, you don't go back and try it again. You have to find some way to cover it up to make the match look good.
Exactly.
Otherwise,
He did it twice.
Wow.
wow, it's one thing to do it once, you know, because you may have forgotten the rule, but to do it twice, come on now.
And I thought, wow, like that may be their, the reason why they're not signed.
That could very well be.
And
Because Hunter don't want guys who are going to botch things and try to.
Well, I mean, a lot of old school guys consider that, that's like first day stuff.
Yes.
Like, don't go for,
Yeah.
whatever.
I mean, I also
That's one of the first things I learned. That and respect the same people, respect the people you work with because they're the ones you see going up as well as coming down that ladder.
I mean, my only issue with Hunter, but I kind of respect the decision, is Kurt Angle wants to come back, but he says not right now.
I actually agree with not bringing him back because you got to think about this. This guy had a nervous breakdown in Vince McMahon's office, and basically said, if something ever happens to me, I'm going to tell the world that it's your fault because I'm not getting time off. And now the thing is, Vince McMahon, he used to be the guy that booked all the talent. Now it's Triple H. He's the one that you have to call. If you want a job in WWE, you don't call Vince McMahon anymore. You don't call John Laurinaitis. You call Triple H. That's the guy that makes the talent deals and makes the contracts. And Triple H does not want Kurt Angle back because of what happened. And that's probably a directive from Vince. I mean, yes, Vince did tell Kurt, oh, you got to talk to Triple H. He's the guy that you got to talk to. And plus, I mean, TNA has been trying to get Kurt Angle to take time off forever, and he won't. If he needs 6 months off, he takes 2. If he needs 4 months off, he takes 1. And because he has this desire to prove that he's the best, which is admirable, but he's just doing a lot of damage to his body.
He was the best. Like when he first
Oh, yeah.
started out in TNA, like during his later years in the WWE, as he was on his way out, nobody could beat him. I don't even think Bret Hart in his prime was able to beat him.
He definitely, in WWE, he's one of the best for sure. But I don't think WWE wants him now because you still read about DUIs that he's getting, drug charges and whatnot. And the worst thing for WWE right now, being a PG company and all these corporate sponsors, they do not want the death of an Olympic gold medalist on their hands.
Nope.
They
They don't want the bad publicity.
They do not. That would be huge bad publicity because if it's headlines, oh, gold medalist dies in WWE. They do not want that. And it's very possible with him.
Well,
you
I think
know?
that's why they kind of scooped away Jeff Hardy when he made that quick comeback, won the title, and they kind of let CM Punk kick him out.
I mean, Jeff Hardy is his own worst enemy because the reason Jeff Hardy left because Vince wanted him to go to rehab. Jeff Hardy said no. Says, okay, fine, you work the rest of your contract and you're gone. Jeff Hardy, if he could just stop doing whatever he's doing and prove, I mean, Jeff Hardy, he could be the biggest star in the business. He could be WWE's biggest star if he wanted it, but he doesn't. I mean, that's why John Cena a few years ago came back early, because he saw his spot slipping away to Jeff Hardy. People love Jeff Hardy, and if he's his own worst enemy, if you go to rehab, stop doing the drugs, I mean, easier said than done, because addiction is a terrible thing, but if you would stop, and you could find a way to overcome those demons, he could be the biggest star in the business. He really could be.
Well, unfortunately, I think the Demons have currently the better of Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of Jeff Hardy, on Jericho's podcast, he has the Hardy Boys.
Okay.
Yeah,
Both of
today.
them?
Mhm.
That's another match we
Part
forgot to
one,
mention.
yeah, I know.
That's happened at Night of Champions. Randy Orton versus Y2 Chris Jericho.
Just
Jared Cold?
Yeah.
Because he's old.
He's old.
I
He's
think
my age, but that's aside the
I
point.
think Randy Orton's going to win that match. Because I actually read a report that
He's not too happy.
Night of Champions is Jericho's last match for a while.
Besides,
Because of
Orton is the
before.
push.
Well, Randy
Yeah.
Orton's not happy with storylines right now. He wants some time off.
Randy Orton's never happy. Randy Orton's never happy.
So telling
If
us
he's
that
not
he's
the
not
focal-
happy, that's news. If he
If
told
he's,
us he was
if
happy,
he's not the focal point of the company, that man is never happy.
well, you got to remember, he's son of Cowboy Bob Orton.
This is true.
And the Ortons have always been, you know, whether they play the parts of lackeys, they've always been in that.
In the limelight.
Actually, in October, I think it's October 7th, I'm not sure about the date, but Jericho is going to be signing copies of his new Fozzy CD at Faneuil Hall in Boston.
Wow.
So, it's October, it's either October 4th or October 7th, I can't remember the exact day. I'll let you guys know.
I
but-
think you should stick to singing.
You know, I'll tell you something. For a guy that you call old, he's got a lot of cojones to jump off the top of the cage and land on Bray Wyatt.
I give him credit, but he should stick to singing.
If you say so.
I mean, I will say that, you know, as good as Jericho is, and he is truly one of the best to ever step into the ring, it is kind of dull watching him because you know when he comes back,
Yep.
he's simply there to put over the next guy in line. Like, he's simply there to lose to whoever. And that's admirable because most guys wouldn't do that. You know,
I mean, most people
Even
like.
Kane does that.
yeah.
You know when Kane comes back into the ring, he's there to put somebody over.
Mhm.
I mean, most people like myself, you know. I mean, well, most people, except for myself, you know, they don't want to see Hulk Hogan come back. I wouldn't mind, but I'm saying a lot of people will not want to see Hulk Hogan come back.
I think it would be more for his own safety, I think, than
Oh
anything.
yeah, I agree because I think a John Cena Hulk Hogan match would make a lot of money.
Oh, it
A
would.
Yeah.
lot of money, especially if you have that match at WrestleMania. But
And
his
you put
back
Hogan over.
and his back is just so Hulk Hogan's back is so shot right now. I mean, in TNA when he was in TNA, he actually had a back brace under his shirt.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
he can't even pass them to be physical.